Speaking of such,
let's do this.
What is up, everyone? This is Press X to Ramble. Press X is a podcast where we get to talk about whatever we want. And today we are talking about Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Nah, we're talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I say you are. So
I am your host, DJ, aka, actually, rewind. If you're listening to this, you are only getting half the experience. To get the full experience, you check out the video version of this wonderful cast because we have a special guest today.
Yes, sir.
And you will hear him after the AKAs. Speaking of which, I am DJ, aka Sexy Bad Choices, aka, as I said at the beginning, Captain Falcon, aka, did you know?
What?
At the end of this wonderful episode, Sam was actually talking to you, the viewer, because some people miss that.
I guess, yeah.
I don't like it. DJ. I am Sean MFPBP Ross.
Oh my God.
What the MFPBP stand for?
Motherfucking Black Power Broker.
I am your heavyweight champion from Witch Nigga Wood, California, aka the janitor because we watch niggas, aka Captain Koofy.
Captain Koofy.
You already know what it is.
I ain't got my Koofy, but
Marcus Ellison.
And it's your boy Jordan, aka JXBot, aka the 8th Avenger. Let's do 8th.
Okay.
How many episodes? Or no, the 6th Avenger. There are 6 episodes.
Right, yeah, there were 6.
So the 6th. Sixth.
And for our special guest.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Nnamdi Odazu, aka Young Odo, aka Bargain Bin Donald Glover, aka the front desk associate at the Wakandan embassy.
Okay. We got royalty.
Got that vibranium on deck.
He got vibranium coasters.
Hey,
his pen is vibranium.
Don't you touch them? We'll know.
Drinking vibranium water.
Oh my gosh.
Are the clippers for your hair vibranium over there? Is that how they get crispy shape ups?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Vibranium shape ups.
You only have to get one haircut in your entire life.
You go to the barber shop and go like this to the barber.
You can say less, my brother. Say less.
Haircut will last forever.
Anyway,
damn.
With that being said, now we can actually talk about this series.
Yes.
So, who would like to go first with their spoil-free impressions?
I'll go first.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, this at first. All right. So I remember texting Marcus like towards the end of WandaVision, and I was like, all right, yeah, like we're about to go back into like normal Marvel movie territory, and I'm like, well, what, man? It's gonna like I can't help but feel like it's gonna feel like Whiplash because we're going from like witches and like high fantasy back to like
quote unquote normal shit.
Yeah, guns.
Normal for the MCU.
Yeah, guns and government and whatnot. But no, like I would
the big three.
The big three. But I was pleasantly surprised that this show went to the places it gone, and in terms of race in America, and what it means for a black person to take up the mantle of Captain America, with everything going on
right
in this political landscape. And I mean, it was only a matter of time in the Captain America franchise, where it was going to address the American-sized elephant in the room, and I thought it was, like great performances all around. I loved the camaraderie between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. I thought they did a fantastic job. I thought that this show did for Sam and Bucky what Wanda did for Wanda and Vision. Like they're now amongst like my top ranking Marvel characters. I said this before. Disney Plus is probably one of the best things to happen to the MCU
for sure,
because these shows, they feel like limited comic run series, like that focus on like side characters before you get back to like the main events or like the main storylines. Like WandaVision was a limited series. Like this feels like a limited series, and like, you know, Loki, like up next, is going to feel like a limited series. So like I love how they're really, you know, playing with like, you know, comic structure, you know, with these side shows and in the MCU. And I was just impressed with the overall product, and I can't wait to see where, you know, we go from here.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Marcus.
Yeah.
Sean.
Sure, I'll go real quick. I did not have as much whiplash. I am enjoying. I'm keeping an open mind towards everything that they're putting out. Granted, I'm not saying that you didn't, but it's easy for me to transition between WandaVision and, you know, Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was just a little bit off kilter at first with WandaVision, but my only complaint is that I kind of wish this was maybe slightly longer, like WandaVision, 8 episodes. I did like all the action. They said they filmed this like it was a 6-hour movie. It showed.
Yeah.
And there are no complaints, really. There are no complaints.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in agreement with you guys. It's funny because there was before the pandemic, the way that the lineup was supposed to go, Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to come first as their it was the first of the series that was going to come out. And with things being the way that they ended up being, it actually kind of worked out in their favor because Falcon and Winter Soldier, I feel like it came out at the right time. And just what they were expressing also kind of worked in tandem in its own way with WandaVision, where WandaVision kind of showed off a piece or a side of the MCU that we've never really seen before, with this kind of off-kilter, Black Mirror, Twilight Zone-esque feel. And it showed right away with WandaVision that they're willing in this new phase post-Endgame to start experimenting more with genre and format. And so going from that to a more kind of formulaic, grounded thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of worked out because it showed that diversity without us even having to dip back into the movies right away. But yeah, with what we got, I was really impressed with it. It was so refreshing to just actually have them on its face address Black issues, because for a while, even though it was a great landmark moment, I was worried that Black Panther was going to be MCU's only vehicle to explore Blackness, and then everything else, despite there being other Black characters, they would kind of just gloss over it. So to see them just address it so plainly was amazing to me. And I also just like the fact that they're continuing to take advantage of the Captain America's mantle, in terms of Captain America has always been the most political Marvel character and arguably the most political comic book character, period, because of what he represents and what that mantle is supposed to be. And so I'm glad that they're continuing to take advantage of that with different vantage points. So yeah, I loved it overall.
Awesome. Jordan?
Oh yeah. What I'm about to say is not at all any different than what's been said so far. I mean, this shows not only Marvel's maturity, but also boldness to address issues that are continuing to plague this country every day. You know, given the recent events regards to the Derek Chauvin trial, and you know, the continual state of injustice occurring in this country. I'm glad to see that this, you know, superhero show is, you know, normalizing this conversation. You know, like it didn't feel that anything that they were talking about was taboo. Regards to representation in America, symbolism, our core, you know, belief in what's right and what's right and what is wrong, because even outside of the, series itself, at the end of Endgame, there are various, people online that say like, oh no, Bucky should be Captain America, or, like the only reason that people were accepted is if Bucky were to, give the shield to Sam, and, like Sam has to quote unquote earn it, but
Right.
it was a great expression of how Black people can feel when it comes to dealing with white culture, dealing with like this white state. Like America is diverse in population, but in terms of decision making and power structure, it is a white state, and we are seeing Sam try to navigate that and I'm not trying to say defend it, but defend American people with these conditions. So overall, great series. Give it a full 9 out of 10. I teared up at various moments that we'll get to the spoiler cast portion of things, but yes, I enjoyed this more than WandaVision for very specific reasons.
Yeah,
I'll say real quick. I'll say real quick, before you go, DJ. Your last statement, Jordan, reminded me of somebody said something along the lines of, for a lot of people, they were thinking that this series is going to be about Sam proving that he was worthy for the mantle, but in reality, it's America's job to prove that it's worthy of him representing it because of everything that Black people have been through in this country.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, DJ? Were you disappointed there wasn't like a Jamaican flag version of
Captain Rosclot.
The whole time. Red Stripe.
I'm always disappointed, but not for that. There was no Gundam in this, so that was kind of heartbreaking for me. But
DJ, I only say because of your shirt. You got like the black and green going.
Oh yeah, you know. But overall, I absolutely loved this show. So going into this, I had my reservations because I never really jived with Anthony Mackie. Yeah, being Falcon. And it was always that thing where it's like, he's cool, but like I don't know. I just had my own personal things like but I think
he's kind of also ran. It's like, he's kind of a B-side character who cares about him. Kind of like Black Panther when Black Panther, nobody got excited about you.
Right. So like for me, it was a thing where watching this was it was two parts for me. It was me watching his quest to be Captain America, but also me watching him be a hero in my eyes, and like really, really just liking him as a character and liking the places he's going in this show and the things he's doing and the things he's not doing. And I think this show did so well for me that I was like, man, like at the end of the series, I was like, I feel like, and I still can't fully articulate the feeling, but when I look at this and I compare this to Black Panther, I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier does more for the culture, but Black Panther is like the end goal, if that makes sense. It's like,
I think I get what you're saying. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier is directly addressing Blackness in America.
Right.
Whereas Black Panther obviously is having a more broad,
the Black excellence route.
Right.
Yeah.
They're having a more broad conversation about Blackness on a more global scale because, Killmonger represents kind of like African Americans and Wakanda is Native Africans. And there's kind of this divide that within the Black culture we know about, but kind of other people don't really know that much about. So they're having a different conversation. But Falcon and Winter Soldier is very much so more about American Black struggle.
Right. So I'm just going to copy and paste that and just like read over that and then put that into the podcast because that's exactly it. That's it right there. Other than that, like I liked seeing, although the caveat to this whole series is that they had to remove the viral outbreak portion of it because of COVID, and they didn't want to distress people. So it is what it is. But I think
that was the original plot.
I didn't know about that. There was a viral outbreak.
Yeah. So with the Flag Smashers and stuff, the Mama Danya whole portion of it was taken out because in the show, Mama Danya dies from whatever virus outbreak that happens, and that kind of pushes Carly to get the so that's why that whole Mama Danya stuff was kind of like, who is this person,
right?
Who killed her, why did she die, like what's going on? But I think even with that being taken out and them having to edit around that, they did a really, really good job, just for the fact that like you didn't realize that was a thing that was gone from the show. So overall, I think this is really great. When I compare it to WandaVision, of course, I like this better than WandaVision. I loved WandaVision, but I think this just does so much more than what that did. And like that show was a show about Wanda herself dealing with grief and like kind of recovering from that. And I think this is like, when I look at this and I think about when this was supposed to come out, I feel like this show would have it would have been more impactful. It was very impactful when it came out, but I think it would have been more impactful if it came out last year while we were in Trump's tyranny, and like just basically just Sam speaking to the camera, yelling at Trump like, "Hey, you're fucking up," like blah 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 blah, whatever. Yeah, overall, I love this show. I think it's great. I hope there is a season 2. I think this will put Sam and Bucky in a real good place for Captain America 4, which just got greenlit or something like that.
Yeah.
And
same team too.
Yeah.
Same team. Yeah.
Shout out to Malcolm Spellman for getting that. He's the showrunner for this show, and getting that look for Captain America 4 is big.
Yeah. Anything else I want to say is pretty much in the spoiler territory. So
yeah, we can move on.
So let's go on. Yeah.
Let's jump over to that. So, actually, let me note this real quick. This is real quick. It's real quick. All right.
Just letting y'all know. This is your chance to jump off the raft if you don't want any more spoilers.
The raft.
You saw what I did. Leave this podcast.
All right. With that being said, I want to talk about the Isaiah Bradley and the whole conversation with him and Sam, and just
let's get to it.
Getting the backstory and just realizing how fucked up the world is, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. When Bradley, or not Bradley, when Bucky brought Sam to Baltimore and was just like, oh, this is interesting, what's happening here, and then knocked on the door and you see, what's his name, Joseph?
Eli Bradley. Yeah.
No, it was the nephew that opened the door.
Yeah, Eli.
Eli. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Eli or Elijah, one or the other.
Yeah.
AKA Patriot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No.
So when that happened and we actually got to speak with Bradley and actually like see him, it's just like, what?
Oh, wow.
Like for me, it was just like I had an idea of who this person was just because of my like cursory knowledge of Marvel. But there was people that I was talking to, they were like, wait, that fucking happened? Like, what? It was so crazy.
Yeah. That was a huge moment to me, because I've been wanting to see them address Isaiah Bradley and like Josiah X and other, that forgotten history of the super soldier serum in the Captain America mantle ever since we got the first Captain America movie. And for a long time, I was like, okay, maybe we will never get this. And even when Black Panther came out, I was still like, I'm still not sure if we'll get this.
Yeah.
And so when I saw where they were about to go, I was like, no, they're not. Because I was like, this show is about Sam becoming Captain America.
Yeah.
So I was hoping they would address it. And when they did, bro, I was over the moon. And just like even further than that, episode 5 is one of the best episodes of a show I think I've seen definitely all year, but in a while too, where where Sam had that hard conversation with Isaiah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I could not believe sitting in a Marvel show on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They were having
Disney
a conversation basically referencing like the Tuskegee experiments, and like I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yes, like the question was like, Sam, do you want to represent all the stuff that America has fucking done to us? It's done to me. It's just like,
yeah.
I'd been like, maybe I'll go Captain Falcon instead.
No, because I mean, like, I just want to bring up this one point, because like a lot of people, me included, like it was really, really shocking to see, a Disney adjacent property address these, hard and fast issues directly, especially, considering the fact that, another, major franchise, that has dealt with like racism, real life racism within its fandom. They've done, next to nothing to address that, especially considering, Kelly Marie Tran or John Boyega, when they come forward with their experiences amongst the fandom, and then, said franchise does little to nothing about it. They'll maybe put out like a statement or whatever. But like this right here shows me that, like, at least Marvel, like, they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're, they're really striving for, inclusion and making this a safe space.
They give half the shit at least, basically.
Exactly. They give, I was not expecting anything of like this nature.
It makes me appreciate Kevin Feige even more for him to like, because he's overseeing all of this stuff. And so he was very well aware of the choices that were made. And he was like, go ahead, just do it. Like, the fact, because even when they were addressing racism in this show, I don't think people realize how big of a deal it is for them to just flat out say, I am a black man taking on this mantle. They could have said like, oh, I'm a person of color or whatever. He said, I am a black man.
Yep.
And when Isaiah Bradley was talking to him, and he said no self-respecting black man would want to be Captain America, my mind was blown that I was hearing that on this show.
Yeah, that was a tough thing to hear, and it made you think, well, shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you really want to,
but at the same time, we keep on saying we're not a monolith, and America isn't exactly the same as it was when Isaiah Bradley was getting experimented on. America's still fucked up, but things can never change if you don't try to change them, and that's, just keep on accepting.
Exactly. And that's why I think his choice ultimately was so great. And I also appreciate why they did episode 5, where he had to hear that from Isaiah. He had to hear Isaiah's story so that it could inform his ultimate decision. Because he couldn't just become Captain America without knowing that aspect of the history of this country. Obviously he knew about racism, but like specifically stuff tied to the Captain America mantle and the super soldier serum. And so him hearing that from Isaiah, going back home and kind of coming to his own conclusion, where instead of, because he could have just listened to Isaiah, and frankly, I would have been like, you know what, I don't blame you. But the fact that he was just like, look, we have bled, we built this country. We bled for this country, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me that I can't do that. I can't make that choice to do that. So I appreciate that.
I think, just to go on to what you're saying, Marcus, like, it was great that they actually had that conversation. They had like a very frank conversation. I think to add on to that, like, starting at the series where Sam's just like, I don't want the shield. Like, I don't want to deal with this. And then just seeing what left to its own device, what America does, and just gives the shield to John Walker, and just seeing how that goes. And it's just like, well, fuck, I guess I got to do this. But then just being bombarded with like all the shit that Isaiah went through is just like, they don't fucking deserve me.
Right.
And then it's just like having to like realize that like I have to step up and actually be this person and just take all this shit that goes with it and just still come out on top. And it's just like that was so perfectly done in this show. It just can't be understated. Like,
yeah,
man, they
what
did a
about
great
you,
job.
Jordan? You got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, a lot of what you said is a lot of what everyone says directly aligned with what I believe. My question is, the follow-up conversation that Sam may have with Steve later on. Like Captain Rogers, he's still alive. I mean, probably in retirement home or something. But
I'm about to say, wait, what? Where?
The
He's on the moon.
Chilling.
He's on the moon.
The question that because remember, Isaiah Bradley, he was punished for rescuing his people,
He basically got punished for doing the same thing Steve did.
Yep.
And in the movie, Captain Rogers was celebrated for breaking protocol and going behind enemy lines, using his powers outside of a direct order. So, I mean, it just
slightly different.
No, like it just points the inequity, and treatment that occurs in the U.S. military between. But I'm sorry, Sean, what are you about to say?
I was just saying, I think it's slightly different. They were punishing Bradley because they were trying to leave evidence where it was at. They were hoping that the evidence just died over there.
But that's the thing, when even Isaiah said, like, that's not evidence. Those are
People,
fellow soldiers. Like, they.
I understand that. I'm saying on paper.
Yeah, I get what you. Yeah. Now, I really, before we go any further, there's other two things that I really appreciated. Is one, I love the little subtle things that they would do throughout the show in terms of like when Bucky initially came and confronted Sam, and he was like, "You didn't have the right to give up that shield." And I love when Sam was like, "You're not going to come here and try and tell me about my rights."
Yeah,
that was such a small but big line where I was like, "Oh, so are we going there? We going there in this series?" Okay. But also the fact that Bucky apologized, like, but when they were having that, toss,
heart to heart,
tossing the frisbee around, hanging out his bros,
playing catch,
tossing the old pigskin,
the old vibranium, tossing the old vibranium.
I love that Bucky took the accountability of being like, Steve and I did not know that this is what you would have to deal with, and this is what you had on your shoulders.
Specifically, he said Steve and I didn't know what giving a shield to a black man would mean, and like,
it becomes less of a shield and more of a target.
Yes,
that's what I thought in my mind.
And the fact that he just straight up apologized was so refreshing. Like, he took accountability fully, and was like, "I am sorry," and that meant so much. Because, like, these superhero shows, like, people undercut them, but, like, they are supposed to be representations of the best that we can possibly get. Or, like, this is what we can hopefully aspire to in some way, shape, or form. And so to see Bucky, who's a character that a lot of people look up to, I also love Bucky, but see him own his white privilege, own his ignorance, and apologize was big. To me, at least.
Yeah. Actually, I want to jump to Bucky because that's a great segue. But before I do that, I want to mention two things that wasn't mentioned. One, the scene after they leave
Isaiah.
Isaiah. I don't know why.
When they go to the Smithsonian.
No, not even that. But before that, when they leave and they're talking outside and the cops stop them.
Oh yeah, it's just I love that scene.
Yeah, they are fucking doing this.
It was fitting that Isaiah Bradley found. I mean that it was sorry, not fitting, but it was pretty coincidental that Isaiah Bradley took up residence in Baltimore because organized healthcare, like it goes with the theme of the mistreatment of Black people in the medical system.
Yeah,
any type of organized healthcare that has occurred historically were led by fairly well-known, well-renowned institutions, one being Johns Hopkins. So it's like that I'm just saying that the screenwriters knew what they were doing, and they're like, that's okay, he's in Baltimore.
So
I mean, even before the cop scene, the when they were trying to get that loan, that was also
yeah.
Which, by the way, I see that everybody had a problem that Tony Stark was not paying them. He was their employer. If anything, they were employed by S.H.I.E.L.D. at the least.
Tony had them out there working for gear and exposure like some Instagram models.
Right.
Well, yeah.
My man was their co-worker.
Well, no. You know what? I think because remember before Endgame and Infinity War, like, I think Falcon was still on the run. Like he escaped from the raft, so I don't think they could have gotten any type of direct payments. You know?
Yeah, he was a fugitive at that time, so it's not like he could have.
I do appreciate
you can't get any back pay being a fugitive. So.
I do appreciate that idea though. That as a superhero, you technically it's not a job really.
Right.
The only person who did not have an actual job was Wanda.
Right.
Everybody else was employed by S.H.I.E.L.D. or the military.
Wait, I got a question. Okay, so was Wanda homeless up until she put?
Tony took her in.
Wow, that's dark.
She was got blown to bits.
Wow.
Tony just opened his home to his coworkers, and this is the shit he gets after he dies. He wasn't paying you. Yo,
it was a screwed up situation on the
way. They're probably super homeless now because like the Avengers.
They super homeless, all right.
Yeah, like the Avengers HQ was blown to bits when Thanos came down. I think they may have rebuilt it, but it's in space now. They trying to go into space for that.
But was she living out of her red Honda? Like,
that was a Buick, sir. That was a Buick. Cannot afford a Honda.
She's totally fine.
But the thing is, like,
go ahead, DJ.
When you have superpowers like Wanda, you're never homeless.
Yeah. No, she makes the house of her brain. She's fine.
Not even that. You just mind control someone like, oh, I like this house. I'm gonna be your
living in it now.
stepsister or something.
I live here. No, we live here.
Okay. Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to say was that I completely called the whole Isaiah's monument being in the
Smithsonian.
There you go. That word.
Live here, nigga. What the fuck is wrong with you?
That one always gets me. It always gets me. You know, I'm just like chilling on a day and just like boom, hit me in the head. Anyways, like I absolutely love that part, and like I felt that was fitting that Sam went behind Isaiah's back and did that, and it was just like, no, people need to know your sacrifice. Like even if you don't want them to know, they need to know.
I've seen some pushback on that moment because Isaiah had explicitly said that he wanted to be like left alone.
Yeah,
and to me, at least what I gathered from that moment and why it struck Isaiah is because Sam. One of the biggest things Isaiah even said it when they were talking is that America has been erasing Black history for 500 years.
Yeah.
Continuing to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so in Isaiah's mind, I think in that moment, he was so cagey because at that point, he had no idea that any of this would ever change. Like from his experience, that's just the way that it was always going to be.
Yeah.
And I think that Sam presented this chance at things being better. And Sam taking it upon himself saying, look, I understand where you're coming from, but I will not let them erase you.
Right.
I am taking it upon myself to not let them erase you. I got you. I'm the new generation. I got you.
Side note on Black history being erased. I saw something on TikTok where this white girl was talking about slowed and reverb music. And I'm like, are you fucking talking about chopped and screwed?
Yeah,
it's still going on.
I have a bone to pick.
It happens in real time nowadays. Like in turn, and like it's not just that. It's like in that situation, it's about recognition. You know, like recognition of an original product made by our community.
Fucking made by some white dude named Slater, huh? Fortnite.
All the dances from Fortnite. How
we had that
conversation.
Yeah, we had that conversation. So,
we had a whole for the culture about that.
Go ahead, Nnamdi. Oh, sorry.
I got like I was about to say like I have a bone to pick with TikTok because like TikTok has been like silencing like hella Black creators as of late, and like it's just I mean like it's always been happening, but it's just like as of late, you know, you have like that girl showing up on Fallon like doing all the TikTok dances created by Black people, and like it's just more and more apparent that like there's a lot of like there's a definite undercurrent of anti-Blackness with that app.
It's just a continuation of Vine, man. But
there's so much.
We're gonna go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That just a quick aside.
All right, so now we can talk about Bucky.
Talk about Bucky. All right,
yeah,
what?
Bucky.
All right, what you got to say about Bucky?
So basically, just kind of talking through his growth through the series and how when he started, he had that book that that Steve gave him about crossing off the people in his. They called it his Trail for Forgive. No, they used a different word. Someone, I think Zemo called it out that it's not you're not looking for forgiveness, you're looking for someone else, something else.
Well, no, he was called out that his book was about, he was still in an
Avenger mode,
There we go.
Mindset during this. So,
right.
I mean, Bucky and his arc was a good compliment to Sam, seeing that Sam originally was, in veterans restorative mental health or restorative physical health.
People forget that.
So,
people forget that.
It just makes sense that, while at in one instance, Bucky's trying to help Sam recognize his importance for continuing, because both Sam and Bucky are two sides of Steve Rogers in a way. Sam is a modern, and Bucky is the conception of Steve Rogers. But in this instance, just seeing Bucky try to make amends actively while being a good person, but he knows that violence is still there, which I think, I'm not speaking from experience, but when you hear other military veterans who went to war, who's still doing post-traumatic stress, who's still feeling with guilt of doing what they had to do to fulfill the mission, but then you have a John Walker, I'm pretty sure talk about John Walker in a second, being more so I had to do it. But Bucky's I didn't want to do this. I was mind controlled. I didn't have a choice. While John Walker had a choice. And just seeing Bucky finally cross off his list and find get his own now he's writing forward. At first he was stuck in the past. Now he's able to write his story going forward.
It's crazy how much that sounds like an excuse. I had no choice. And it wouldn't make no sense unless you knew what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but he was literally, super mind controlled by crazy.
I've always appreciated Bucky and his story, but this did such a good job of kind of distilling his journey and finally getting him to a place where he could go forward, because I've always really felt for him, because he was essentially just a loaded gun to be used for the longest time. And he had to do all these atrocities, and because he's been in the movies and we've never had a chance to kind of sit with these characters in an episodic format, we've known that he suffered, but we didn't really get a chance to sit with him because he's in movies with other characters. So we got to do a bunch of, other stuff, and we're building toward a bigger thing with Civil War or with Winter Soldier. So seeing him really struggle kind of contextualized everything that he was going through. And I appreciated just seeing him go through this healing process, and also growing with Sam, seeing that, because they had that line where they're like, we're two dudes who had a mutual friend, and that mutual friend is gone now. So it's they have this awkward,
now we're just two dudes.
Exactly. Now we're just two dudes, but just seeing how they were both able to help one another in one way, shape, or form. Because Jordan said, people be forgetting, when we met Sam Wilson, he was working with veterans. He was helping them recover. And so seeing him be that, or be able to be that for Bucky, was dope. And try to do that with Carly and John and his interactions with them as well.
Yeah, so another thing I wanted to point out, just talking about Bucky's growth, I also want to commend, I forget the actor's name.
Sebastian Stan.
There we go. His performance of portraying Bucky, especially in the scenes where he was with Io, and he was reading off the codes, and he was just I don't want to change. I don't want to change. And he was that whole scene was so great.
That scene hurt me.
I want to bring up one quick thing now that you brought it up. So I didn't think that this was going to be a point of contention on the net. I remember bringing it up to Marcus over text, but I didn't think that the arm gate was going to be a point of contention on Twitter, because I saw it was an all day thing where you know, I understood it from like both sides, because like I remember talking about this with Marcus. Like, you know, he knew what he did when he broke Zemo out of prison. Like, he was essentially betraying the trust of a country that gave him therapy for free, that allowed him to
free healthcare.
Exactly, that allowed him to shed the Winter Soldier like a rotten fur. And so for him
and a prosthetic, like,
exactly,
made him not disabled.
Yep.
Exactly. So like he knew what he did. So like when he got his arm, like, you know, neutralized in the fight, the look on his face, I read that as him, you know, realizing, oh wow, I really did mess up. Like, man, like I may have very well like lost the trust of like an entire country that took me under their ring, and like
I was using their gift to fight them.
That felt like a black mother taking away something from their kid. Like, no,
exactly.
You get this back when you apologize.
Exactly. But like half of the internet was just like, oh my God, my baby got the mean African lady re-traumatized my baby. And I'm like, he still has the arm.
Right.
They let him keep the arm. Like, if anything, I could have picked that shit up and smacked dude in the face with it. Like,
what I
got off
you,
easy.
boy?
What did I tell you? What's wrong with you? We took you under our wing, you're acting like this, and give you free healthcare. What's wrong with you? But yeah, but it's just it was just like that was just the whole thing that was funny. So
yeah.
I didn't see a problem with it, man. They said they don't want to see vibranium used as a weapon against the world.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a fail-safe because they don't believe in him, but you never know what could happen to him without his control.
This is because they knew upon helping him get through his brainwashing that doesn't mean that it's not like Wolverine, where he literally has a in his vibranium skull or adamantium skull, he has a block to mind control. It's not like that with Bucky, where he could realistically get brainwashed again.
He could relapse.
Exactly. So they're like, unfortunately, we gotta have a failsafe where if you start wilding again, we gotta take that arm up off you, boy.
I'm sure Bucky understands, of all people. Like, he understands himself. He knows that, you know, there's always a possibility. He's a grown, you know, like, he knows.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment, he realized he was free-ish.
Right.
Free-ish. It's kind of like Blackish.
Free with the asterisk.
Right.
You are free.
So actually, let's talk about we kind of talked about Wakanda's presence already, right? Oh, we can talk about that scene.
When they showed up and they dropped the Yibambe in the chat, boy, man.
I was
awesome.
I was not expecting to. I mean, because Bucky was in it, and you know, I was maybe expecting to see like at least a scene of him with them and during his healing process, but I wasn't expecting the Dora Milaje to have such a presence in the show.
Yeah,
they pulled up.
They pulled up and showed out. They beat up New Cap, took his shield.
He said, "Hey, you might want to fight. Foolish. You might want to fight Bucky or something before you fight them.
Before you fight them."
Should have listened. He fucked around and found out.
It's a very important lesson, because, you know, what you're not going to do is you're not going to call the weapons of a Praetorian Guard of a sovereign nation pointy sticks.
Yeah.
And you're not going to touch a black woman you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that's what you're not finna do.
He lucky they was all bald, because he might have messed around and tried to touch their hair, and it would have been a wrap.
Right.
Like, it was funny. Like John Walker's immediate statement after that is like they weren't even super soldiers or something like that. Like, that's how much he was like, this is a surefire thing. I'm fighting these warriors I've never heard of.
No, because that was one of my favorite lines in the show, because it was so indicative of up until that point in the show. If you look at his trajectory, John Walker had been disrespected and undermined at every turn, but he was hoping, like, he was like, all right, look, at least when we got
At least I
watched
could beat them.
right, he's like, at least when we got watched that first time, it was super soldiers. So maybe if I go up against regular people, he got washed up by them too, and he was like, man, I can't do nothing.
They might still beat his ass.
They don't need super serum.
I feel like even if John had took the serum at that point, he would have still got washed. Because think about it this way, like they're protecting the king, right? They must have a contingency plan in place to neutralize the king, who is essentially functionally a super soldier with the heart-shaped herb. Like they almost had Killmonger. They were like, remove the necklace. They had a plan in place. You're telling me that they can't handle a super soldier? Like,
when that choop choop start playing, it's boss music.
Yeah, like the Dora Milaje cannon will kick your ass. They don't give a fuck who you are. Like,
nope. As they said, they're wherever they are, that's where their jurisdiction is.
Yep. Sure is. And you ain't gonna say nothing about it.
Right.
John Walker.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
we about to roast this man, but I want to let it be known.
He tried.
I loved John Walker.
Oh yeah.
I thought
His heart is in the right place.
Yeah, I thought he was a great character, and Wyatt Russell is fire.
He looked like a goofball at first when they first brought him out in episode 1. I was like, what the?
He did.
He looked like the old dude from Up.
That man was all chin.
John Walker's energy throughout the whole. I mean, his shining moment was when he was being demoted or basically less than honorable discharge moment, to which he said, this is you guys told me you told me to do X, Y, and Z. I did X, Y, and Z. It got a little bit weird these last 24 hours, but I was still doing it in service of this country that I love. And
you know what it felt like to be a black man.
It was very indicative when they would you have characters talk about John Walker, and especially Zemo. Zemo resented John Walker. He was like, Steve Rogers is a once in a million moment where I would take an exception to killing a super soldier. Yeah, because Steve's heart wasn't just in the right place, but it was his mind. Yeah. His mind was in the right place. John Walker's mind was in the wrong place. He was very possessive and self-destructive in many ways.
What was great is it goes back to that quote that Stanley Tucci's character in the first Avenger said when he was talking to Steve, where he said that you'll be good for Captain America, not because you're the perfect soldier, but because you're a good man. Mm-hmm. And the thing about John Walker is he was the perfect soldier. He was. That's what. Man. Yeah. He had all those medals.
It wasn't even that he wasn't a good man too. It was just but
I mean more so because at his core, Steve was able to handle the weight of it. Mm. John, while he was an exemplary soldier, he was not able to handle that weight. He got thrown into a battlefield that he was not accustomed to, and he crumbled under the pressure.
Yeah. It seemed like he was trying to meet a standard that was not achievable. Being Captain Rogers, and if Captain Rogers did not exist, maybe he would have had a bit of a chance. Seeing there wasn't a template or baseline there, right? But at the same time, him trying to strive to someone else, kind of made it. It corrupted his mind.
Yeah, it made it worse.
I have to be the Captain America.
I think what it boils down to is that when Steve had the shield, in his mind, he always looked at the shield as I'm protecting someone. I'm doing this to protect someone. Whereas I feel like John, when he had the shield, it was more so I'm doing this thing. I have to go and be this person. It was more so he was always attacking a situation. Whereas Steve was always just I'm
Steve,
here.
It was a tool for John Walker. It was an icon.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know if y'all peeped, but it's even down to the way they fight, which was cool. Where when Sam and Steve used the shield, they were usually using it to protect from something coming in or to throw it, but they were never swiping it at people as a weapon. If they were fighting, it was a lot of hand to hand, and then they would use the shield as needed. Yeah. Whereas John, whenever he was fighting, Usually he was swinging that shield, especially after he decapitated old boy. He was using that shield as a weapon.
That was some good cinematography right there.
I want that face of him, like his mouth fully agape, to be my new PlayStation profile picture. just total rabbit.
Yeah, but they said.
Okay.
Well, I was just about to say they said it showed Bucky's respect for Captain America versus John Walker and Sam Wilson. Every time he caught the shield, depending on who it was, he would either use his vibranium arm or his regular arm. He did not respect John Walker having the shield. He was able to catch it with his regular arm. Every time Steve Rogers threw it at Sam, he caught it with the vibranium arm. They pointed that out a bunch.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't catch that. Jeez. Make that man foolish.
What was you gonna say, Nnamdi?
Oh no, I mean like I was just gonna give like my general feelings about John Walker. So again, like Wyatt Russell did a fantastic job bringing the character to life. I have a little bit less grace for that white boy than most people, because to me, like John Walker, he's just so reminiscent of everything that irks me about white America. Like not just like you know, like hard R's and burning crosses and white sheets.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the
easy
more
stuff.
Exactly. I'm talking about like the more subtle. Like if you share a post on social media, then you get somebody pulling up in your DMs with the whataboutisms and the not alls and the like that type stuff really got under my skin. And like to see that, like just like small like microaggressions, like him playing with the siren outside the precinct to get Sam and Bucky's attention.
That super cop moment was so deliberate.
He's not doing it from a informed place though. He's been brainwashed and
he's tone deaf. He's
working off of a privilege.
Exactly.
He's thinking like, oh, this will be a fun joke, and it's like, no, there's fucking like deep rooted like pain from that. Like, what are you doing?
When he busts Bucky and Sam out of jail, he was like, hey, you're welcome.
Yeah, right.
No.
This could have been real bad for you, Sam.
No. Especially when he just got profiled that same day. Like, come on now.
Yeah. I was about to rush down to the Baltimore police precinct myself. Like, yo, get him out of here, man. What's going on? Hey.
No bail.
But
actually, you know what? You can join them. Oh wait.
but
while you're here.
but like not to get too far ahead, but like people online were saying like, oh, you know, John is redeemed now that he saved those people from the truck, and I'm like, well. See, redemption implies like you feel remorse, and after he killed that person in that square, he didn't show any remorse. He was angry, number one, and number two, he straight up lied to Lamar's family afterwards. So like he doubled down. You know what I mean?
The thing about John, which I really appreciate in this show, is he's not a quote unquote villain,
right?
And the thing about John is you look at the trajectory of his arc and you can see exactly why he got to where he was. Mm-hmm. The moment where he was standing over Homeboy with that shield, I knew exactly why he was there and how he got to that state of mind. And when we get to the beginning of the end, the finale, we get to the beginning of the 5th episode where they have that fight for the shield. This man is still in shambles. Like, he is not in a place of making rational thoughts at all.
Mm-hmm. I see what this is. He was
right. That man had the crazy eyes and everything. Yeah. And the thing is, when we get to the finale, I appreciate the way they used him in the finale, because they really could have done the easy thing where he shows up and he's like, now I'm evil Captain America. And he's like, they could have done that.
He was so jazzed about it. He's like, what?
With that line specifically, I would have just lost my shit.
Mustache twirling.
I'll tell you what, Marcus, the compliment, Julia Dreyfus and her little.
Oh, yeah. Julia's showing up.
Or did I? Did
Right.
I? Did I? Like, oh shit.
Evil Veep. But when he showed up in that episode, I was like, oh, here he go.
Mm-hmm.
But that moment where he had the choice between revenge and duty, and he remembered in that moment who he was, at least, or who he was trying to be, and tried to save them, it reminded me that this is a person at the end of the day who was trying to act in service. He went about it the wrong way a lot of the time, but he was trying to act in service, which is why I'm glad he's still in the show, because he's going to be an interesting foil going forward. But in that moment, they made the harder decision of not making him evil and making him a person. A person, like, he's not just going to forget now that he was a 3 Medal of Honor winning or awarded soldier before all of this. You know, like, he doesn't just he's not like, screw the American people now. He's like, screw the government, because y'all made me this way and then you threw me out in the trash. Like, but
speaking of getting thrown out in the trash, let's talk about Lamar real quick, because
Look, hey man, listen,
Lamar,
Black Lives Matter.
Yo,
Black Lives Matter. Okay.
Everybody was like, "Whoa, wait! This Disney Plus?"
My man was on the job for a whole week.
This man came up with
Battlestar, no
bulletproof vest fighting fucking super soldiers.
Oh,
he had no business being in that room. He should have been calling shots from up in the rafters.
I mean,
it
just like one of those subtle things, you know. Like, I mean, I love my white friends. I truly do love my white friends, but I'm not trying to do no jackass.
I'm not
shit.
dying for y'all. I will not put my life on the line for y'all.
Real quick though,
gotta watch out for that.
It shows how sensitive that Marvel was and Kevin Feige was, because I don't know if y'all know his original name in the comics.
Battlestar?
It was Buck. It was Bucky, because John Walker is supposed to be Captain America. Bucky is his sidekick. His name was originally Buck in the comics.
Okay.
But then they know what that means for a black man, so they changed it to Battlestar in the comics. They straight skipped that for the show and went straight to Battlestar.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
smart move.
I mean, I'm glad they did. I haven't been mad racist. You're right.
Carly caved my man Lamar's chest in.
All right.
Y'all remember in Game of Thrones when, like, I think it was the mountain pushed somebody to death? It reminded me of that. It reminded me of that.
He said, "I'm bleeding inside my chest." Charlie Murphy.
Carla Morgenthau.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
If there was ever an indication of I shouldn't be in this room, I'm scared and need an adult, this man, oh my God. I had a bad feeling when they was scrapping. I was like, oh Lord.
Oh, he's
Lamar. Lamar, you just a nigga from the street, please.
Somebody save me more. Hey.
Lamar, rest in peace, Lamar.
Let's repeat. All right. Let's get this moving. Let's talk about Sam, because we kind of touched on him, but just to go through, like, you know, his whole thing, and you know what, we kind of talked about it. Let's talk about Sam and Carly, because I think that was a really good moment that we didn't really touch on, and was completely killed by John.
I hate that happened.
You know, I mean, here's my thing about these super soldiers. You just need a gun. Based on what I'm seeing, you just shoot them. Like, I'm thinking, like, all this, like, you know,
they're doing all this flip.
Yeah, like, she was taken out quite easily by 9mm.
That's like Indiana.
Nah.
She got the dude with the sword.
With the sword.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know,
she didn't get shot by just any gun. She got shot by the power broker's gun. All right. There might have been some extra stuff in that joint. Shot him with a silver bullet.
I'm feeling some pretty big General Ballistics vibes against the battles. I'm like, you guys need to get guns. I mean, it's good y'all can run fast, but run fast with weapons.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're already committed to killing, like, innocent people, unfortunately.
But
Right.
yeah,
Hey,
but,
all
yeah.
they were kids with some pumped up kicks.
I mean, you're not wrong.
But yeah, like I really
Yeah.
like that scene where Sam was trying to talk Carly down, and even when he like kind of flipped the script on her and made her like kind of confront her own self, and it's just like that's really good. And as Marcus said earlier, like yeah, like he does this. This is his training, and it's just like that's the redeeming stuff that you need to see in someone who's going to be Captain America.
And that's what puts that is frankly what puts Sam apart from Steve, which is something I'll get into when we're doing our closing remarks. Because he has a direct experience with talking to soldiers in a capacity of I'm not your superior. I'm trying to level with you because I've been there. But Carly and them Carly and the Flag Smashers, and I don't mean this in they were bad. I mean in more so like just critique wise, they were the weakest part of the show. But I do appreciate that Carly and them represented extreme, like young, fiery extremists, and how a movement can go wrong so easily without the right organization. Because Carly was so immature and kind of impulsive.
Yeah, when she was fighting Sam towards the end.
I think you could tell that because she was already freaked or spooked by like being pursued by the power broker, and then just having all of this like the stakes of things continuing to ramp up, and she's still grieving her mother figure being dead and all that. Like it's too much on her shoulders, and she's young.
Yeah.
And so it's no secret that this was going to go not well for them in the Flag Smashers.
She talked a big talk.
Right.
She was talking about this movement can go on even if I die. And she really didn't want to die. I thought she was a coward towards him. But you got to remember she was young. Because if she was really about it, she would have stayed in that truck and made sure it hit its mark.
Yep.
Instead of jumping out at the last minute.
You're absolutely right. If she was really ready to die for the movement, she would have died for the movement.
I'm not gonna lie, her detractors are kind of like getting cold feet. She was like, "One
That's
world,
another thing too.
One world."
Yeah, I think
the lady from the press conference like one world. What world?
right.
No, I really would have appreciated if, and again, like this is another side effect of the pandemic. Like if we had gotten at least one episode where we got a little bit more of Carly's backstory as to why she got to where she got to.
Right.
Because I feel like there was a lot of like, flimsy, like loose ends in terms of like her motivations and like why we should be, invested in these villains. You know what I mean?
I agree. That's one of the reasons why they were one of the weaker element or the weakest element of the show, because they had the least background going into this. It was just basically GRC is bad. We're refugees, and like
you down with GRC?
And it is like the stuff that they're touching on with displaced refugees and border stuff. Like, yes, it's valid, but it's just because we don't know you guys, and then we don't have any backstory for you with an episode. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, fine.
I actually really liked the whole flag smasher thing. I'm going at this knowing that we're not getting the full picture because circumstances.
Yeah.
But I really like what they did with her character, and kind of gave her those points where she could have made a left instead of right, and it would have been a different situation. Like I like seeing her do those things. I don't consider her the villain of this show. Like I don't consider them the villain. They are freedom fighters. Like that's what they are. And like,
well, they're fighting for their truth. Like their truth that a unified Earth is going to bring back all of the issues that occurred before the blip, but like that is exclusively due to their perspective on it
and their experiences.
And Sam's conversation is like, well, they're half right, but we all suffered, and this is an opportunity to come together. But based on what Sam was reinforcing, based on the GRC's behavior, yeah, it totally could have happened. So y'all, like the quote unquote Carly 2.0 will be well more informed.
Exactly.
If nothing else, the real villain of the show is the government and the systems that were in place that put John Walker, Carly Morgan, like put these people in these places to make these extreme decisions.
Absolutely.
And Sam's like, what y'all doing?
It's funny that you mentioned that because I think it's fascinating that the villain of this show was not one of the big three.
Right.
And it was like, it's something that Sam didn't even fathom being a potential like enemy to them. And it's just like, yeah, it's the fucking government. Like the government has always been the villain.
But in reality, like outside of Captain America 1, the government has mostly been the villain of Captain America stories. Like, you know, in some way, shape, or form.
And Winter Soldier, Civil War. Yeah.
Speaking of Civil War, real quick, because we, you know, I think we're running out of time, but we have a couple of more things to talk about. What y'all think of Zemo?
Let me tell you something, man. Like Zemo, like that whole thing reminded me as to why Zemo is probably the coldest villain in the MCU whose name isn't Thanos. Because like he's like I mean, like Marcus, you said this before. Like he did what no other person in the MCU accomplished, which was break the Avengers the fuck up.
Yep.
In a way that allowed them to get absolutely decimated by Thanos because they weren't a united front by the time he pulled up.
Yep.
And like just seeing him, like, you know, like he's the smartest person in every room that he's in. So you know, like he's planning something. Like something's going on. Like
I think they hammed up Zemo a little bit with, you know, I had a minor in African studies. I was like, shut the fuck up.
Oh,
he's got a lot, but he's right. He had a pocket, but he's right.
Zemo an ally.
No, he's.
I love what Zemo was like. Zemo's like, only an American would see a fashion-forward black man that think he's a pimp.
I don't want to hear that the European perspective on black culture anymore. I mean, I get it. It's appreciated, but I don't want him doing it for points. Like I feel like he was doing it for points in a way. I mean, it was cool. He wasn't wrong, but I'm like,
he was definitely doing it for points because Zemo was trying to manipulate any situation he was in. So of course he was doing it for points, but it was still pretty funny to hear him say that stuff.
They say his mask really strikes fear in people because he made a point to put that shit on when he was when they were in Madripoor in that little shipping area, and he blew up whatever the hell it was, and they saw that mask and they were like,
freaked the hell out. Oh no.
Shit.
Wait,
it is a cool mask.
Do you think that they modeled that mask, that he modeled that mask after Thanos to spook the Avengers or spook any?
No, he already had that.
No, he already had that.
Oh, he already had it. Oh, okay,
Passed down from generations. He's a baron.
And I love how they were like, we were reminded that he's rich and he's a whole baron.
Yeah, he's like, this is my only friend, my butler, and he killed him.
I like
my butler is down to catch a body.
That is an outfit I can appreciate.
Yeah,
I can appreciate.
I really appreciated Zemo in this, just because I always liked Zemo, and I would love to see more Zemo. And it's, I think one of the things that makes it so easy to appreciate or enjoy Zemo is the fact you can tell that Daniel Bruhl is having a blast playing him.
Yeah.
Like he is clearly having the time of his life playing that character. And so I want to see more of him.
Quick note. I like how Bucky was trying to hit on Sarah.
He gonna have to write one more name in that book, Sam's name, because he
it was coming from a genuine place because he spent so much time in Wakanda. It was nothing to him to just be like, she's here.
Change a person, boy.
Bucky done got turned out by black culture, boy. Bucky got some cocoa butter, so his hair was flowing.
Sam was like, Sam shut that shit down real quick. He's like, no.
Right.
Not doing this.
If you want to be friends, we cannot do this.
He was like, hey, Sarah.
Nope. You're invited to the cookout, but nah.
No, you ain't finna. Nope.
He was out there playing with the kids and stuff, bringing he did the responsible thing. Brought cake. He brought cake and not some raisin.
Yeah,
rice,
that's true.
Potato salad.
He knew exactly what to do. He went on Black Planet.
I
went on Mythic Alley.
I love the fact that we as Black people accepted Bucky and by extension Sebastian Stan as one of us. Like you go look at any of the Infinity War interviews. Like he's always paired up with like Black Panther cast members. He got the high top fade and he's one of us.
Also hilariously, he said that people kept on trying to activate the Winter Soldier out in public. He would read off the ones to him.
That's trash. That is trash. Like, y'all realize that if it worked, he would catch your body, right?
Right. He should know. He should just do that just for freak out in public.
Out of one person.
But and speaking of another character that we, just need to spotlight for a moment, Sharon Carter. What y'all think?
Okay, all right. I have thoughts. So here's the thing. Bruh, the second she stepped into the car in that wharf area. Yeah. I was like, yeah, you're the power broker. Like
I wanted the lady that picked her up to be like, girl, I'm just your Uber driver. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, for her to be in such distress after Infinity War, it was like, you're doing pretty damn good for yourself. So
yeah. But I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about the twist just yet because I would need to see more of her going forward. But as of right now, I mean, I saw the twist coming and
I think everybody did.
Yeah. It was kind of like, okay, well, I kind of need a little bit more as to why you would make this heel turn. I mean, I get that you were disillusioned post Civil War, but also